time for another round of Brandy. Candid conversations over cocktails about all things brand. With your hosts, Reilly, Newman, and Scott Saunders, the brand developers behind Motif Brands.
Welcome back to another round of Brandy. If you tuned in for our Halloween special, thank you. And that was a fun little one that a lot of people enjoyed, where we kind of went through these horror stories of brands and foot in the mouth moments and just things to learn from, but also things to laugh about.
Yeah.
Today's episode, we're starting off with a little bit of news with a nostalgic comeback with one of the classic soda brands, and that is Mr. Pibb.
Yeah.
Coming back from the dead.
That was a Coke product, right? Yeah, because that's
Coke's.
their answer to Dr. Pepper. I mean, and it seems like you have so many brands like that. Like, for instance, orange soda. You had Fanta or you had Sunkist.
Yeah.
You have 7-Up or you have Sprite. You have Mr. Pibb, you have Dr. Pepper. You have obviously Coke and Pepsi, A&W or
Mug.
So it seems like every brand has these like dialed in flavors. But what's funny about and I love Dr. Pepper. It's interesting because not everyone likes Dr. Pepper, right? People that don't like it have literally almost said the same thing, and it's like it tastes like carbonated prune juice. I don't know about that, but I personally like it myself, and I've tried both, and I don't necessarily have a preference, but yeah, Mr. Pibb is back.
Well, I just like, because that was the origin story of Dr. Pepper, was the whole prune juice thing, is that it was an elixir.
Yeah.
So it probably is people going, oh, it's probably more of a placebo.
Because there's
effect.
like, I think Dr. Pepper like boasts like 23
flavors or something like that.
Well, it's not flavors, but it's ingredients that go into the flavor. So it's like aromatics. It's all these different. It's like botanicals. It's like if you had like a really botanical gin, and you're boasting all the different herbs that are going into this, and chemicals, all these artificial
chlorine,
chemicals, and addictive qualities.
I love the lack of effort on whoever named Mr. Pibb. That
well, we need to compete with Dr. Pepper, so we can't Dr. Pibb. Pibb's an interesting with 2 B's. Pibb with 2 B's.
What does Pibb even mean? So overall, I guess they're trying to tap into the caffeine market, try to hit up some energy drink, which the energy drink market has been in full throttle thanks to Starbucks, Celsius, Red Bull, and especially just been catching on more and more, and the addiction to caffeine continues to grow. So with this new Mr. Pibb, they are increasing the caffeine portion, which may be interesting if they kind of went into its sliding markets a little.
It's kind of like, I mean, in college, I used to drink a lot of Mountain Dew, because Mountain Dew has, until there was like Jolt and a couple other like, where they were like extreme amounts of caffeine. Surge and Jolt. Jolt had so much sugar and caffeine, it was like this, it was huge. But aside from those special things, I feel like those are like the extreme out there sodas. Of the mainstay of sodas, the ones that have the most caffeine, the one that has the most caffeine was Mountain Dew. And so you'd go for that, right? That would be the lane, and I feel like they're kind of still utilizing that.
Moving on to today's topic, which is a bit of a grab bag of different things that Scott and I have just been talking about, and things that have been going on in the market. Everything from, of course, AI, to even some personal experiences and kind of just things that we've been noticing or reading about. And kind of kicking it off is that, especially because that's really all the headlines right now is about AI. And just kind of seeing the pulse of how people are, again, looking at the consumer, looking at the people, the market, and how they're actually now responding to AI.
Yeah, I feel like when AI, even in the last year, everything started becoming more AI, and people thought it was all like, oh, it's a fun entertainment thing, kind of like the internet was when the internet first became. Like, people would spend hours just like going to random, like, I don't know. It's just weird. The internet now is more of a useful tool that we use. We get in, we get off. But back then, I would come out. Back when we had internet, it was like I'd load up AOL, America Online, hear that the modem ping, and all of a sudden I'm in this like open ocean where I can just like see the sites, and you'd spend hours on the internet. Now it's like it's kind of a one done. I feel like AI has done that, but what I've been noticing is that. And it's more in various news sources, not only financial people. They talk about this AI bubble and the trillions of dollars that companies are pouring into it, and whether that's going to burst and the market's going to have some repercussions, or just more of a counterculture movement of companies, brands, consumers, and people in general that are kind of like pushing back against AI and saying, we don't want this.
Right.
That, it has uses, but everyone feels like, oh, we want AI everything, and we want it to be our friend, and we want it to be our, all these things. In fact, that was one of the
case in point. Oh.
That was one of this was if you listen to our last podcast, this was a branding kind of fiasco horror that didn't make our top 10, but it was close, and it had to do with AI. Once you
Yeah, so it was a new device. If you live, I think it was New York. I also saw it down in LA and everything, but it's called Friend. They actually have the domain friend.com, which that thing probably was not cheap. Yeah. And apparently this little device hangs around your neck, and it's it's always listening, kind of like Siri and all these devices are doing anyways, but it listens and can respond and help remind you of things and stuff like that, just based off the ads. But what this company did do that was quite remarkable is that they didn't just take out a couple ads in like the New York subways, but they took them all. They spent over $1 million just on ad placements within the subways.
Every poster,
you can look at pictures online, and it's pretty remarkable. I give them kudos for doing that.
Even on the inside, because then there are a lot of advertising pieces on the inside.
Yeah, they have them along the top, like where you see the little routes and stuff.
Jeez.
And it was pretty neat. And you think about the impact of that, of if someone's going through their day-to-day travels, commutes, and they see this ad and they see different interpretations of it, I'm like, it is cool. However, it backfired because people started writing on the ads and saying, oh, AI is not your friend, which again takes in consideration the company's name of friend, which that may have been they might have jumped the gun on calling AI friend on like a naming standpoint. I don't think humans are ready for that yet.
Yeah. But that's what I mean though. That's where it's like almost like it's the culture's having to accept and embrace. And I feel like it's one of those things that, AI doesn't have to be all or nothing, and right now it's like everything is being thrust as it's all, and so the nothing voices are getting louder and louder. It's almost like there's a pushback.
And this is the thing, is that in the last 10, 15 years is that technology devoured everything. That's why Silicon Valley blew up. That's why we have technology everywhere. It's integrated into our lives, and now you have wearable technology of all these things, and AI is now devouring technology. So you have not only the devices already integrated into our lives, but now AI is using technology as the vessel by which
creating its own technology, which is
and then it's becoming then like saturated in our lives because the technology is already there, and AI, that's what it's going to do, is devour all the technology, because it can then work on our behalf and actually use the technology to like further the usability of it, because right now technology is based off of us using it, but AI is going to use the technology.
And I think I came across a reel. I think you might have sent it to me on social media. Or it's like these two guys playing out a scenario where that guy walks into a convenience store and he doesn't know what he's. And the clerk types on his phone and chat with AI. Customer just walked in. I'm not quite sure what to say, and the AI tells him what to say. Yeah. Just like people are using it to literally write emails and everything else, right? And then the customer's like, "Oh, he just asked me this question. How should I respond?" And the AI is telling him, and so he's saying that, and then and even the guy's like, well, "Why did I come here? What do I want? What am I here to shop for?" And the AI is, "Well, you want this, and it's almost like it reminds me." And again, I always think that like when we think of creative arts and sci-fi, it births dreams, and I feel like society always ends up then making a reality. Culture and technology have always tried, like hover cars, right? Yeah. Hover boards, like in Back to the Future. I heard that we've actually been able to successfully teleport something, like a solid piece of matter, from one point to another, like Star Trek, for crying out loud. Crazy stuff. And so you celebrate that. But this is something that I feel like is more and more people are just kind of like, brands are starting to put stakes in the ground. I'm starting to see more and more ads where they're pushing the support of human creation, human manufacturing, human tooled.
Yeah.
I think we're seeing more of a movement, and we've talked about this before. We brought it up that this is just our opinion, but I feel like the new sustainability term that brands are really going to start using is man-made or human-made.
Yeah, I think that's going to be
and that consumers are going to be looking for that.
Right.
Especially if there's a bigger counterculture pushing away from AI is not just this fun game anymore. It's dangerous, and it doesn't need to be in every single thing. Otherwise, we're going to end up like the people in Wall-E, that are we have liquid food. It's constant, entertainment in front of us, and we're all immobile and floating around on these little carts, just brain dead people.
Yeah, people are already scrolling themselves to death, so it's only going to become worse. But I think that's where, like, I'm optimistic about AI, and it's kind of how it's going to help humans and progress things. I think it's going to help with a lot of manufacturing and logistical things and actually drop costs on that front. But then I think it's actually going to allow companies to drop, like in a restaurant, for example, they can use robotics and AI to help reduce costs on the back of the house things, and then use humans for the soft skill, the human interaction, the experience, actually pay those people more for more of that
human experience.
House.
I think you land brand experience is going to become
even more.
I think if brands are for efficiency, are moving away from human experience, that's going to be their danger point. From a business standpoint, it makes sense. From a brand standpoint, not.
Right.
You need to, if anything, throttle up your human engagement, human experience component with the brand's consumers.
Right. And I feel like that's even like what Scott was saying about human-made things is like, there is something special when we know a craftsman has made something. There's story that's embedded in the piece of furniture or the shoe or whatever, and it gives it more value because we appreciate that, because we associate human skill, craftsmanship and expertise with time, with labor, with really that energy that someone's putting into it, or they have put in for decades, that makes them able to do something and accomplish something. And with AI, that's just not there, because we know that AI runs on a completely different energy source. And this goes into like, I think there's a whole, my theory is that AI is a whole different economy, and it's going to run off a different currency, which will be compute, because that's what matters for computers, which is just so less expensive than the dollar, which is pegged to really human energy and labor. Is that it's a totally different time scale. It's a totally different everything. And so what we're seeing now is this birth of a totally different economy, essentially. And I think that's going to be the big thing that comes out of this, is going, oh no, AI is actually, because whatever, in the last 10 years, we finally have global economies. We have companies that are bigger than countries, and they sell things all around the world.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. Like that's insane. And you didn't have that before. So you're dealing with totally, even in 2008, you didn't have companies that were completely suspended beyond geographical borders, like very boldly. And even Starbucks is selling a ton of their portion of their stores.
But correct me if I'm wrong, though, like big corporations don't they have to, isn't there a headquartered country of origin? I mean, you can have a company that has global reach, but it still has to be grounded in something for its reporting and all that stuff, taxes paying to its country, its home country.
Right.
So it's not like they're a floating space station that literally has, has any ties to any country. They just supply to the planet.
Yeah.
We're getting there. I'm sure one day we will have that.
Well, and that's what you look at sovereignty, and that's what the whole, when you get into crypto and blockchain stuff, is that you're going to have decentralized organizations where you do have someone or a company that's not assigned to a specific nation, is that they're essentially a sovereign state in of themselves, which is...
Dude, it's going to be the Matrix. I'm telling you.
It
is
going to
be the Matrix all over again. In fact, we're probably in the Matrix right now.
This is probably
you and I are not really... We're actually, our brains are being, sucked through crazy straws, in a suspension in some, weird sci-fi, and this is a spoon-fed reality that we are neurologically experiencing, but we're actually just feed... we're trough feed for machines.
And yet, through it all, Mr. Pibb comes back.
After all.
Because... Well, no, wait.
Let's go back to Mr. Pibb, shall we?
Because
those dire days we've just painted for a future.
Because nostalgia holds so much value to us humans. And even I was driving along all these different auto dealerships, and I'm like, I see these guys looking at... And I had my daughter in the car, and I see these guys looking at trucks, and I'm looking at, and my grandpa used to do this, that when you drive by and you see someone looking at a car, you go, don't buy it when you're driving by. And my daughter,
grandfather?
Yeah. And so I did it to this guy. He's looking at some like Tacoma or something. I was like, don't buy it. And then my daughter's like, oh my gosh, you're so embarrassing. And I was just thinking about it. I'm like, he's looking at the truck, really not from a functional standpoint. He's even
looking at the truck.
Looking at it, but even when we test drive a car or whatever, it's not even how the car feels. We tell ourselves that rationally. Oh, how does this feel when I'm driving it? It's more of how do I feel when I'm driving it? How does this car make me feel? And so even when he's looking at it, he's going, well, how does this make me feel? Well, what do I feel like? And so even that, the humanness of that, you can't put that on paper.
It's like the guy that's going to buy a sedan, and he climbs into the 4-door sedan. He's like, okay, this is roomy, this is comfortable. Yeah, I'd be comfortable driving this. And then he decides just on a whim, I'm going to upgrade like $40,000 more to this sticker price to slip into this more sporty model, and the seating's tight, more cramped, but he feels like a badass, and he'd be like, dude,
that's what he wants to feel like.
I'm going to look sweet in this ride. Then all of a sudden, that is a more comfortable ride. That's crossing off more boxes for him.
Because then it's funny because then you do always have auto dealerships that are always one after another, right? They're always lined up and they're all crammed in one spot, and it is because of that, because they're all vehicles with 4 wheels and an engine, and they depreciate. I
always wondered why are most like car dealerships all clustered in one area? Because it feels like it's almost like you drive down one avenue and you got one on one side, one on the other, and you feel kind of like, well, like guys are. It's just a weird concept.
Well, and then it's like, okay, does someone actually, when they are buying that, they could be shopping by brand, or it comes down to, how do I feel driving this car versus this car versus this car? How does it make me feel? And I think that's kind of
that's a lot of car lots to have to leave on your own free will, without getting literally sucked with what will it take for you to drive away on this car you just test drove.
Yeah, and I think that's the Tesla conundrum right now, is that a lot of people who would have bought a Tesla don't want to buy a Tesla now, because it's not so much it will, because of what Elon's done and things like that, it will have them have internal narrative conflict where they go, oh, wait, I like the car, but now I don't like Elon, so I can't drive the car. Or I need to put a bumper sticker on my car that says, I don't like Elon, but I still like Tesla, or whatever.
I've seen those.
They're having this complete mental break where they have to somehow make this
statement. Because it's part of their identity. We've talked about this.
Dude, no one cares what car you drive. Honestly, no one's looking at you. So.
But we do talk about a lot about brands and the emotional connection.
Yep.
And this is where you're building that the strength of your brand is found in your consumers' emotional attachment and their that you are integrating their life. You are you're a reflection of them. Yeah. And so that's why people would proudly wear, or have stuff that helps support that brand, because they want to show I'm a Lululemon person.
Well, and I think,
or whatever, right?
But
so
again,
they're proud to wear everything with that logo emblazoned on it. And if something happens with the brand, if there's bad press in the brand, if something comes out and the brand is now not in a good light, that's why a lot of consumers struggle with things, because they're like, well, but I love that brand.
Yeah.
What?
Well, and I think then it's like, okay, if people really don't care, I don't care if you have a bumper sticker on your car. I don't care any of that, right? Sure, I might read it if I'm stuck behind you, but really, it's your own pacifying. It's you making yourself feel good, because your internal narrative needs you to put that on your car. You need to go, no, I can still drive a Tesla, or I don't want to get a Cybertruck because how will that make me feel, right? It still conflicts that internal narrative of going, well, I don't want to be viewed a certain way because that makes me feel uncomfortable because I'm worried how someone's going to view me. So it's almost this tandem of worrying how it makes you look and what you're signaling out to the world. But then I think more importantly, it's that internal narrative and how it makes you feel. Just like the guy looking at the car or whatever. And when we test drive cars, like, how does this make me feel when I'm driving it? Does it make me feel a certain way? Or when you're holding a certain soda versus another soda, when I hold the Dr. Pepper versus a Mr. Pibb, how does it make me feel?
Yeah. Would you rather be seen holding a Mr. Pibb?
With 30% more caffeine. But I think that's our time for today.
We skipped around, but I kind of like it because we went in going, let's just hit record, and we have no idea where this is going to go. Other than we knew we wanted to start with one thing, but we'll see.
From Mr. Pibb, AI, and cars.
Matrix.
And Matrix. The Matrix. Thank you for tuning in. And
Thanks,
until
guys.
next time.
Cheers.
Cheers.